Greetings, Batprince here, and today Sam and I are going to be reading a story of Heirs and Graces.
Yeah.
I said hairs, like as in bunnies?
As in your hair, but it's not spelled like that.
I don't know what hairs mean. Like somebody who gets all
Like
your
a-
money when you die?
I thought it meant like someone who
New game!
like a king. Hair and
That's
Grace is
your-
Grace is female, hair male.
Okay. My body is stiff, every muscle tense in a mixture of nerves and anticipation.
That's you.
What?
That's you all through and through.
Shut up. Before me looms the Sandor estate. This is the Sandor estate.
Could look better.
It's got wolves on it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Winter wolves. Sorry, this is
It
developed by
needs-
winter wolves. Never mind.
It needs more balconies.
And gargoyles.
Yes.
Gargoyles.
Got a lot loud.
A vast plot of land with a mansion 2 stories high, meticulously detailed from the set of marble wolf statues guarding the mahogany front doors on.
See the windows, right?
Yeah, the Gothic arches.
They're either reflecting the sky because they're that clean, or there's nothing behind them.
There's sky inside.
No, like the whole building is just a front.
And
There's nothing else.
No, it's not that because there's trees behind it.
Huh. Nah.
There's
my
sky
theory.
inside.
True.
I can safely say that I've never seen its like. Though that's not saying much. I may be the son of a noble lord, but I'm also my mother's son. Instead of being raised in a place like this, I spent my childhood growing up on the streets. I can't say it was easy, but my mother and I always found a way to make it work one way or another. I'm not bitter about that. Then
What
why
would you
mention
prefer?
it?
What would you prefer? Being raised in a place like this or learning street smarts?
Learning street smarts and
I
then
reckon.
moving into an
Yeah,
expensive
same
place.
here, because then you appreciate it more.
Yeah. What I'm bitter about is the way my father abandoned my mother. Don't play with that.
Sorry. It makes lots of noise. Yeah, I understand.
I mean, I get it. I do. He would had to give up everything to be with her. His fortune, his social ties, his way of life, everything. What was she? Still, he shouldn't have been prepared to do that. He should have been prepared to do that in the moment he asked her to risk the same.
Damn straight.
He had no right getting involved with her when he couldn't even do that. Couldn't do even that. I close my eyes and take a deep breath, trying to calm the surge of anger that my thoughts have ignited. Stop stressing and thinking about things.
That's me.
Is that why I'm here, to demand answers on my mother's behalf? To look him in the eye and list everything he's forced her to go through because he'd said he'd loved her in the hopes that he'd conjure up some form of regret. That was a long sentence. Hold on, I gotta move away from the mic to breathe. No, I don't think that's it.
Oh.
I don't want him to ever know who I am. That's
Why are you there?
I'm applying to be a servant and not approaching him as his son. It's kind of like undercover boss, but undercover son.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just need to know.
Know what?
As to what I need to know, well, I haven't figured that out yet.
Sorry, I constantly do this.
I have to sum it up in a unwholesomeness curiosity until I sort these thoughts out. Sort out these thoughts. I
It's
see
all
things
weird
all
and
backwards.
strange. No, but
It's
the
all
way
weird
you're...
and strange.
Yeah, worded strange.
Yeah, I know.
The way you're saying it makes sense too.
I don't know what will happen when I cross the mansion's threshold, but I decided to do this. There is no point backing out now. I work up my nerve before stepping towards the door. Then I take the brass knocker into my hand and hit it against the door 4 times. I only have to wait a second before the door clicks open to reveal a poised butler in a cleric's outfit with a serious expression.
Oh, so serious.
Good afternoon. My name is Marcel, and I'm here to... Ah, you are the boy Miss Julianne recommended. I'm not so keen on the boy part, but the fact that he knows about me makes things a bit easier. I have to thank Miss Julianne next time I visit her shop.
Oh.
That's right.
Oh, he wasn't talking to us? Okay.
No,
I don't know if that was going on in his head.
It's up here.
Okay.
Then you're looking to be hired as a servant, is that right? Yes. Excellent. Let's go ahead and get you started then, if you just follow me. Oh, he could have said walk this way and we could have walked like him. No.
Walk this way.
Just like that, you don't need to ask any questions or check my references.
No.
Miss Julianne's judgment tends to be spot on, and as long as you don't turn out to be completely incompetent, I should be able to find some use for you. He steps aside to let me in.
Oh, lovely. Ooh, shiny.
Ugh, too shiny. I nod and enter, stepping into the foyer. If possible, the mansion is even more impressive on the inside. And it's bigger on the inside too. I only have a second to get swept up in the grandeur of it before Mr. Butler, that's his name now, Mr. Butler. He didn't introduce himself, so if he says anything from now on, it's still going to be Mr. Butler.
Yeah.
Passes me and starts down one of the halls.
This is your living quarters?
I follow him to a bedroom. It's a small, very plain compared to the rest of the house. Practical perhaps, but not exactly luxurious. Shush. I don't like to make assumptions, but I have a feeling this will be my room. Sure enough. This will be your room while you work here. Admittedly, it's not much, but chances are you won't be spending much time here anyway.
I like it.
I noticed that there's only one bed.
Of course there is. You have your room to yourself.
Why does he need another bed?
Exactly.
I was expecting to have a share room with at least one other person. Oh, but if there's only one bed, it's probably not the case after all. Do you want to share the room with a lustrous maid?
No.
I don't know. I'm not sharing with anyone? That is correct. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with so much room. There's only one.
Exactly.
It may not be fancy compared to the rest of the house, but it's bigger than most of the places Mum and I called home. Warmer too.
And
And?
see those pieces of wood there? He could like knock them out and make it a secret hidey hole for his stuff.
Okay. You sure it's not just brick all the way down with wood flourishes to make it look fancy?
Yeah, but still, he could still knock a few bricks in.
And then see into the toilet.
Well, that too.
Lord Standler used to employ more servants, but lately he just keeps enough to run the mansion.
That's alright.
It means more work for the ones he does employ, but on the plus side, you get the room to yourself. I go quiet for a moment, wondering if asking why would be inappropriate. I decide to risk it, figuring it wouldn't result in anything too drastic, since it's my first day. Mr. Butler probably doesn't expect me to be perfect right away. Why is that? I don't know. Even if I did, it would not be my place to say. It is our job to see Lord Sandor's wishes fulfilled, not questioned. Of course, I'm sorry. I won't ask again.
No, you will not. Now do your job.
Why?
I told you so.
As long as you understand. While we're on the topic, I suppose I should go over the house rules.
Okay.
First, never begin a conversation with any lords or ladies that may come to visit. Only speak to them when spoken to, and be sure to give them your full attention. Keep still and make sure you look at the person addressing you. Keep your answers brief and as agreeable as possible. These rules do not apply to other servants, but it is important that you do not hold conversations in front of guests. He goes on for a good 10 minutes. It's a bit overwhelming, but most of it is common sense. If you break something, it comes out of your wages. Don't remove items from their original rooms unless given special permissions, and so on. As long as I keep myself in check, I should be okay. And finally, all the servants must be back in the mansion before nightfall. To prevent any amoral implications, I suppose, a servant with a bad reputation can reflect badly on their employer, after all. If a servant is a liability, it's easier to let them go. Again, common sense. Also werewolves.
Yeah.
Oh. Did you get all that? I can go over it once more if you wish. Yes, say it again, please. Please, no. There was a lot of good information in there, but I really don't need to hear it all again. That's alright. It's all pretty straightforward. There shouldn't be any problems. Mr. Butler gives me a satisfied nod before heading to the door. He opens it and once again steps aside to let me pass. I feel a bit like a highborn lord having him hold the door for me in such a gentlemanly manner. It's a bit odd to me, but I guess this is normal behavior for a professional butler. I think I'd benefit from making a note of it.
So what's he meant to be?
Steward.
Really?
Errand boy and cleaning, I think.
At all.
I think so. Shall we go see the rest of the house then? Before that, sorry if you already said it, but I didn't catch your name. Too late, he's Mr. Butler. A seemingly uncharacteristic blush creeps into the butler's cheeks as his eyes meet mine. A crack in his refined to a fault facade, and he looks genuinely mortified over forgetting such a routine convention. Forgive me. It slipped my mind. It's fine, you were busy explaining things, so of course it slipped your mind. He's still a bit pale, but he calms down enough to at least answer the question.
Aww.
Even so, it is not something that should have happened. I'll endeavour to make sure I don't repeat my mistake again. Well then say your name! My name is Vincent. Vincent Butler. Mr. Butler. I apologise for not telling you earlier. I hope you can excuse my rudeness. He adds a small bow to emphasise his apology. That's really not necessary. He keeps up the bow, refusing to back out of it. I roll my eyes. I suppose an exceptionally cruel noble would expect this level of grovelling before granting their forgiveness, but that's just not me. I kind of regret asking, but I did kind of need his name. Mr. Butler works well enough as far as my own thoughts go, but he probably wouldn't like me calling him that out loud.
True.
I'll wait another second before deciding to try a different tactic. Nice to meet you, Vincent. Vincent stands up straight at long last. Progress. The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Marcel. I look forward to working with you.
Do you reckon he knows who he is?
Probably. I mean...
Well, because a butler opening up a door to a servant.
Yeah.
And all that, which is a bit strange.
Yeah. I briefly debate whether or not I should be bothered trying to get him to call me just Marcel.
No.
He should be
He
named
knows who you are.
Marcel. Like
That's
the
why he's
famous
calling you Mister.
mime artist. Honestly, it's probably more effort than it's worth, but Mr. Marcel doesn't really sound right to me. It's okay, just call me by my name. You don't need to add the Mr. part. Who's Mr. Part? I'd Mr. Part, because I don't know who Mr. Part is. Vincent pauses to consider what I've said. You'd prefer it if I just called you Marcel? Very good, sir. If it's not too much trouble. Very well. Huh, that was easier than expected. I thought for sure he'd make a fuss about it. Maybe he's not as rigid as I assumed.
He's just shy and wants to do his job right.
I nod and together we head back to the foyer. There Vincent stops at the base of the stairs and turns to me. He seems to have recovered from his botched introduction and has resumed his professional demeanour. Lord Sandor's room is at the top of the stairs along with the guest rooms and his personal library. I'm reading from Vincent, aren't I? Sorry. Most of the work you'll be doing up there is cleaning. You will spend the majority of your time on the first floor. I don't wish to disturb Lord Sandor, so we'll skip these rooms for the time being. In any case, the rooms should be easy to identify without seeing them firsthand. The rooms at the top of the stairs are the guest rooms, and if you follow the hallway around past the suites of armour, you'll run into the library and Lord Sandor's room. That said, he turns on his heel and leads me to the next room. We go several places, including the cellar, the kitchen, the parlour, and so on, until we've covered the entirety of the first floor. As we go through each one, I'm given a lengthy lecture on the various jobs I might be asked to perform on each one.
Well, that's good though.
We finished the tour in the garden. It isn't nearly as impressive as I imagined it would be considering the rest of the house. There is nothing wrong with it per se, but it does lack a certain je ne sais quoi. Artistry. It could definitely use some colours beside just green.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with our garden.
Shh. Still, the plants seem to be healthy, and I guess that's what matters. I'm sure you've surmised this is the garden. I prepare myself for another long lecture from Vincent when a tall, muscular man approaches us. He'd been working with one of the plants when we entered the garden, so I half wonder if he chose now to approach in order to spare me from Vincent's lecture. This is the new guy. His name is Marcel. Mr. Muscles looks at me appraisingly. I get a little self-conscious as his gaze lingers a few seconds longer than I am comfortable with. Finally and mercifully, he turns his attention back to Vincent. A bit scrawny. Vincent lets out a sigh. Not everyone is an ex-gladiator. In any case, he should be able to do most tasks just fine. My eyes widen as I look the man over again. He definitely has the body type and the scars. I wouldn't have guessed it if I tried to be a bit more analytical. I would have. Never mind. I keep getting negatives and positives mixed up.
It's okay.
Well, maybe I wouldn't have guessed it, former gladiator, but I would have suspected he used to be some type of warrior. He definitely seems more like a bodyguard than a gardener. He gives me a small nod. Kamal? What? His name is Kamal. You have to forgive him for being vague. He tends to get by using as few words as possible. Yes. I see. Well, it's nice to meet you, Mr. Kamal. Just Kamal. I nod and correct myself. Kamal, then. It's nice to meet you, Kamal. I am not sure it is yet, but there is no harm in saying so. It was Marcel, right? That's right. He nods and leaves it like that. I'm not exactly sure how else to respond. Luckily, he doesn't seem to expect me to. Vincent gives us both a chance to continue our conversation before deciding he's the one who'll have to move things along. Do you need an extra set of hands to help out? Not really. But you can find something for him to do? Sure. You'll watch over him and make sure he knows what he's doing? Kamal responds with another nod. We're finished with the tour then? Yes. You'll spend the rest of your day helping Kamal in the garden. He'll let you know when you're done. I'm quite alright with that. I have enough information to process as it is, so it's nice to know I'll get a break from Vincent's lectures for the time being. Okay. Alright then, I'm entrusting him to you, Kamal. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a job to get back to. Kamal and I nod, and Vincent takes his leave. Once he has gone back to the mansion, Kamal breaks the silence. You get used to him. He seems nice enough. Kamal gives me a look. Alright, he might be a little too serious, but that's not a bad thing though, considering his profession. Kamal lets out a small chuckle. True. He leaves it at that, creating another moment of silence. I suppose that is something I'll just have to get used to with him. Well, as long as he doesn't expect a response every time, it shouldn't be a problem. So I guess just let me know what to do and I'll do it. Kamal nods and we get to work. Yay, first work day. Time for a stop. We didn't learn much in this story except for this guy's going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. The end.
The end.
That's enough for today. I'll see you tomorrow.